What is up, everyone? I'm Ryan from Fireside Knicks with my friend and co-host Dylan Backer. And I said this the second he hopped into the stream here. The Knicks are up 3-1 in a playoff series. The Knicks are, I just want to say that out loud so everyone can process this. The Knicks are one win away from winning their first playoff series in about a decade, right? And I know that there are going to be people outside the fan base or people who are very critical in the fan base who say, well, this isn't an NBA title. Are we really going to go this crazy over one playoff series win? When you've been starved of something for a very long time, when you finally get a taste of it, you go crazy, right? This isn't a fan base that has been blessed with, titles after titles in the last decade or 2 decades or even 3. So we'll take our playoff series wins when we can get them. And especially considering how strong the defense has been all series, how they rebounded from a very ugly game 2. How they rebounded in that game 4 itself. There were a lot of really encouraging signs. I know the shooting, for Julius Randle, the shooting for a lot of guys in terms of their field goal percentage, it isn't pretty. I thought coming into this series, that's how it would look, that it would look pretty ugly. I guess now following this game 4, now the Knicks are in command of the series. They just need to grab one more. They can go 1-2 and win this series. How are you feeling, Dylan? And most importantly, what were your big takeaways from the last 2 games?
Right, so I'm feeling good first off, man. 3-1 in the series, how can you not feel good about that? And we took both games at home. MSG was live, it was rocking, the crowd was loud. We played some really good basketball in those games. I love how they rebounded from game 2 after that. Pretty much just that embarrassing loss in a way. You had to know it's a playoff game. It's tough to win playoff games on the road, of course. But, game 2, they didn't really stand much of a chance, so you were hoping that they would bounce back strong. And they answered big time. Game 3, they won by 20 points, and Cleveland really just had no chance whatsoever. They held them to 79 points, which is the lowest mark by any NBA team this season. The Knicks just, locked them down completely. Game 4, last night, or yesterday afternoon, I should say, more of a close game, more of a thrilling game rather than a blowout, but they were up by 15 at one point, and when they lost that lead, you kind of started freaking out a little bit, going oh no, are we going to do this again? They bounced back, they were resilient, they ended up winning by, I think, 9 points, something like that, having a really good fourth quarter, led by no other than Jalen Brunson. I'm looking at his box score right here. He scored at least 20 points in all 4 games this series. The first 2 games weren't the most efficient games. Games 3 and 4, he shot above 50%, which is really good to see. He's getting his efficiency back. Yesterday, he was just locked in completely. 29 points, 11 of 22 from the field. I think he had 6 rebounds and 6 assists as well. He was doing it all yesterday, and Julius Randle was not having a good night, like you said. Wasn't having a good game whatsoever. He barely even played in the fourth quarter. Something didn't look right with Randle yesterday. I think a lot of us know that. And I'll give Randle the benefit of the doubt here. He is playing through an injury. I think people got to realize he is playing through an injury. So that could be a big factor as to why why he doesn't look the same. Does that excuse the poor body language? Not necessarily, but does it excuse missing shots or poor play? Yeah, it can. He's playing through an injury. He didn't really get the ramp-up period. He kind of just got inserted right back in to a tough physical playoff series after sitting out for 2 weeks. So got to give him the benefit of the doubt a little bit. Yes, you don't want poor play and you don't want poor body language in playoff games. I get that. But we also got to understand, he's playing through something that most guys wouldn't be playing through. Quite frankly, it's an ankle sprain that's not a quick healing thing at all whatsoever. So, hopefully, game 5 he can turn it around a little bit, give us a little bit of a better performance, and obviously not have poor body language or the lackadaisical defense, of course. But other than that, there's been a lot of good things these past few days. Games 3 and 4 were really exciting. Those games were what we wanted to see. Everything we wanted to see, pretty much. And yesterday, Josh Hart stepped in to start over Quentin Grimes, who had a shoulder injury. Hart played amazing too. I think he had 19 points, a bunch of rebounds, he was doing it all again, and he's been phenomenal this series too. Other than the not so great game 2, but like I said, it's unfair to be pointing fingers at one person for game 2 when everyone was bad in game 2. And last but not least, shout out RJ Barrett, man. We gave RJ Barrett a bunch of crap this week, quite honestly. We weren't sure if he was worth playing, in these spots. We weren't sure if he should get as much playing time as he was getting. he answered it and he shut us up. He quite frankly shut us up. I mean, he had 19 points on 8 of 12 shooting in game 3, and then yesterday he had 26 points on like really good shooting. I'm looking at it right here. Barrett had 26 points on 9 of 18 shooting. I know his three ball is not falling, but at least he's getting to the basket. He's going to his strength. He looks much more aggressive. I mean, games 3 and 4 he looked much more aggressive. He wasn't taking as many of those stupid floaters that I see him try to go for, or those stupid fadeaway shots, excuse me. He looked like he was trying to get inside and go to his strength, and that's what I want to see. Those were some of my interesting takeaways. I mean, Ryan, what did you think most about like RJ Barrett? I think he's someone we need to talk about here because he really stepped it up in 3 and 4, and quite frankly, shut us up, honestly.
Yeah, no. One big thing that, the Knicks needed from RJ was, he's very hot, very cold. And you just need him to get hot at the right time, right? The conversations of what will happen with RJ Barrett and the New York Knicks and their future together after this year is not a postseason because we're in the postseason, is a after the postseason conversation. When the Knicks are eliminated and when the summer comes, or if the Knicks are eliminated, you never know, right? And the summer comes around, then we can have that conversation. But that conversation is not one we're having right now. That's not a conversation you're going to have in the middle of a postseason series. You just need RJ Barrett to play to the level. Just need him to get hot at the right time. That's really all you need, right? We knew that this was going to be extremely difficult for the New York Knicks in terms of getting points. It's proven to be very difficult to get points. The Knicks have just been able to expose the Cavs' really terrible offense outside of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, who Garland had not played well really all series. He's kind of been on and off. And then the Knicks were able to get to Mitchell yesterday, right? RJ Barrett being able to go out there and give you pretty good scoring efficiency. I know again, as you said, the 3-point shot wasn't falling, but in the interior, and really be a catalyst for this offense. It changes the dynamic of this team. Randall slumps and RJ gets hot. That's gonna cover itself, right? And then when Randall comes around and he's able to get a little more rest and he's able to get himself back fully acclimated, that'll all blend itself together. You mentioned no Quentin Grimes. That's a decent loss, right? In terms of coming into this game, I know that Quentin Grimes isn't the guy you think of when you think guy you can't lose, but again, this team isn't a great shooting team, and the Cavs are really damn good with interior defense. And the Knicks, without Quentin Grimes, one of their best shooters, especially when you consider volume, he was out, and they were able to still win. Josh Hart has been the best deadline acquisition I think any team could make. He's been unbelievable, right? So, yes, you have your role players. Obviously, Josh Hart, we've given him flowers all year. Brunson was incredible, and you feel like Randall will turn it around. But that X factor that we all felt like was going to be the X factor showed up the last 2 games. RJ Barrett, and the Knicks won those games. If RJ Barrett is competent, if RJ Barrett is just solid, the Knicks are going to be in a pretty good position in any game they play to win. Now, I don't know how consistent he'll be, but what I do know is the last 2 games, you can't take that away from him. You cannot take away those last 2 games. For as bad as he was in the first 2, he was just as good in the next 2. And I guess going forward, who do you think is that next guy to step up? For me, it's Julius Randle, right? He's been really bad. Very, very bad. But I feel like he's got to have a game at some point, right? I mean, good Lord. It's been terrible. No. So yeah. I feel like he's going to turn it around. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Randall has not been great, like we mentioned before. It's unfortunate. He had a solid game 1. Ever since then, he's kind of just not really been there on the offensive side. It's unfortunate. Like I said, he's battling through an injury, so you got to kind of, give him a little bit of slack. I know some Knicks fans are very hard on Julius Randle, and I understand, the body language was not great. Defense effort really was not there in the third quarter, and it's the reason why he was not played in the fourth quarter. But we also got to understand, he's playing through something, like I said, most guys aren't going to play through. He's a workhorse. He's a dog. He plays hard. You gotta just be a little patient. I know you don't want to be patient because it's the playoffs, but thankfully we're still winning games in spite of him having some of his worst performances of the season. You know what I mean? So, looking at that, we're lucky that we got these other guys to step up, like Brunson and Barrett right now stepping up when it's needed. Josh Hart playing his good basketball. So I expect Randall to, pick it up once in a while. Someone that I'm looking to step up is Emmanuel Quickley. Quickley, he had a good game 3. He had 11 points on like 4 or 6 shooting. That's good. Yesterday, though, he had no points, unfortunately, and he went 0 for 4. Now, something that I will highlight about Quickley yesterday, despite having 0 points, he was actually a team high plus 11. He was still playing great defense despite the shot not falling. And he only played 20 minutes, but he made those 20 minutes worth it because he was playing good defense. You know what I'm saying? So That's good that the defense is still there. Need the offense to click though. You know what I mean? We need part of, the reason why our bench was so good was because Emmanuel quickly played like a six man of the year candidate. Quite frankly, he was the runner up. Unfortunately, he didn't win the award, but he deservedly was the runner up. And so looking at that, we just need his offense to step up a bit. You know what I mean? You don't want 0 points coming off your six man. You want bench scoring. I mean, looking at the box score here, the Knicks only had like 9 bench points yesterday. They had 9 bench points. We still won the game, but having as little bench scoring as you just did, that's not always going to cut it. Because eventually your starters will get cold. Your other teams will figure out how to stop like Jalen Brunson or RJ Barrett. They'll figure that out. Obviously, not having Josh Hart on the bench is probably a factor into why our bench only scored 9 points yesterday. But at the same time, Quickly is supposed to be the guy that's leading that bench. Having 0 points is not always going to cut it. The defense is great though, so I'm not like totally like, oh, Quickly needs to completely step everything up. No, he's playing good defense, which is good. We needed that. That's what we badly needed because we knew, like you said, Ryan, earlier, we knew it was going to be tough to score points. We knew that. So can't always knock on Quickly for not scoring when, quite frankly, everyone's had a tough time scoring. Other than the last 2 games, Jalen Brunson really and RJ as well. But yeah, he just needs to figure his shot out. That's the guy I'm looking for to step up in Game 5 on Wednesday night. What do you think about that? What do you think Quickly needs to really do? What do you think like he needs to get going in his offense a bit?
It's really the three-point shot, right? I feel like that Quickly can provide spacing. He's another one of those guys where adjusting for volume, he's one of the best shooters on this team. If he's not giving you that three-point shot, he's still able to positively impact a basketball game, right? Like that's not. We've talked about how Quickly he's been able to positively impact basketball games, even when his shooting lines don't look great. But you ideally want both of those things. You ideally want the shooting lines to look good and for him to continue to give you the defensive tenacity, the playmaking, the shot creation, all that stuff. That takes him from just a role player to, a legitimate, like, all-star caliber player at times, right? And the fact, again, the Knicks are up 3-1, and we're talking about Julius Randle hasn't played great. RJ Barrett played 2 terrible games before playing these last 2 great games. Emmanuel Quickly hasn't really done much. Quentin Grimes missed one of the games, right? Like, not saying that the Knicks are getting a bad hand, but the Knicks haven't gotten it's not like the Knicks are putting up like 99th percentile outcomes. Like they're going out there and they're just getting every shot they want. Like, Julius Randle is shooting 80% from 3 on 10 attempts a game. Like that's not happening, right? They're winning these games in pretty sustainable way to win basketball games, which gives me faith. And honestly, I would even go as far as to say the Knicks have not played the level of basketball that we've seen them capable of playing. Like I don't think this team has played at the level of like, hey, when they play the next round, if they get a team like Boston at some point in this postseason, they can beat them. Like they're playing at a level where if they played Boston, they'd probably be down 3-1 right now at best, maybe even swept. But that gives me confidence that, Randall's got to get better at some point. As you mentioned Quickly, he has to get better at some point. Grimes is probably going to re-enter healthy. I don't know if they push him to play Game 5 if they don't have to, right? Like if in Game 5, Grimes still a little bit sore, I think I'd rather sit him out for one more game and have him fully healthy, fully ready to go for Game 6 if need be. And if you just win the series there, well, that's even more rest for Grimes. End of the day, I'm not saying you're in a position to tank games or anything like that. More so in a position where like you just want some guys to start clicking because, especially Emmanuel Quickly, especially Julius Randle, because in a sense you win one of these next 3 games, and now you can start looking towards your next opponent. If you win, you build, and you have something that you can build off of for these guys. You feel like you can go into that series and be at potentially play at your like best capacity. That capacity where they won like a bunch of games in a row, and Josh Hart's playing out of his mind, and Julius Randle is dropping 30 every night, and Emmanuel Quickly is doing what he did for really the entirety of 2023. So I don't know what your thoughts are there. I guess my overall, sum it up here, I don't think the Knicks have played that well, and they've been able to win games, which is kind of impressive. What do you think about that?
I don't disagree. I mean, this is quite frankly not the best version of the Knicks we've seen this year. Like you said, you're going to look back on this season, you're going to look through the stretches we've had this year, and you're going to look at the first round playoff Knicks, and you're going to look at like their stat sheet, and you're going to go, oh, dang, they did not play very good at all. Oh, wait, they won the series? And let's not get too ahead of myself. We haven't won the series yet. We got to keep our foot on the gas. Obviously, you don't want to let up. Don't get too cocky because we're up 3-1. But being up 3-1 is a great feeling, so, we're going to have our fun right now. But with that being said, these guys will step up at some point. Julius Randle will step up at one point. He was an all-star. He's going to make the All-NBA team. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's because he is a really good basketball player, which I expect him to turn it around. He needs to get healthy, of course. His ankle probably is still not even 100%. So give him that rest. Hopefully we wrap up the series on Wednesday so, it gives him more time to heal, because it looks like the Bucks and Heat series is going at least 6, I would like to presume. So that'll be an extra few days of rest for Randall should we move on to the next round. We'll have more rest days because, that series will still be going on. That'll give Randall a chance to heal that ankle. It'll give maybe Grimes a chance to really fully heal that shoulder. Josh Hart even has that ankle ailment that's been going on. I don't know what's going on with it now because he's still playing really well, but I'm sure, there's still a bit of pain there that he's just kind of fighting through. It gives these guys a chance to fully heal. Cleveland's a physical team. Cleveland is a physical team. We knew that when we were coming in. We expected these guys to get battered around a little bit and get beat up a bit. Everyone's taking contact left and right on both sides, both teams really. They're just getting loads of contact. It's a really physical series. Kind of a brand of 90s basketball a little bit. But, I like that. I enjoy what I've been seeing from it. Yes, I wish the shots were falling a little better, but I do like the physicality. I love the intensity the Knicks have come out with in this series. Bouncing back from an ugly game 2 with 2 really good wins at the Garden. I mean, that Garden atmosphere is unmatched. I mean, Cleveland just looked rattled, completely rattled. A lot of guys on that Cleveland team, this is their first postseason hoorah. This is their first time in the postseason at all. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, this is their first time. You could kind of tell this is their first time in the playoffs, just being honest. You could kind of tell a little bit. They had to come on the road, and you could see they're a bit frazzled a bit. I mean, Darius Garland just had 2 absolute stinkers, honestly, in the last 2 games. I mean, on the stat sheet, Garland had 23 and 10 and 9 and 16, but that was because, he had a really hot third quarter. If you take away that third quarter, he just was not there whatsoever. Our third quarter yesterday, forget that quarter happened. Let's forget that quarter happened because, every other quarter they played great. The Knicks did, but look, other than that, Garland had been rough in game 3. I think Garland had like 8 points or something like that, or not a very high amount of points. He had very low shot efficiency, So we're taking advantage of that. I like what we're doing. We're taking advantage of them being kind of rattled a little bit, them being a little inexperienced, So just keep that going. Keep the foot on the gas. For kind of wrap this up here, my final thoughts. Game 5 Wednesday night. Just end the series. Get this. Keep going. Keep your foot on the gas. I know you're going into a hostile environment on the road, so it's not necessarily going to be easy. But right now you have the massive edge. You put Cleveland in a big hole. Cleveland can't lose the rest of this way in the series. You put them in a really tough position with just those 2 wins in the Garden. And winning that first game on the road was huge too. So just looking at that, wrap this up. Get this Game 5 win. I'm hoping Julius Randle has a bounce back performance in Game 5. Randle has typically always played better on the road, so that gives me a little hope that maybe he'll step up to the challenge a little bit. I expect another big night from Brunson. I'm hoping RJ Barrett can continue his little hot streak he's got going on right now, because this is the RJ Barrett I wanted to see all along. So I'm glad to see that. And let's just stay healthy too. Everyone needs to stay healthy. We're gonna, because quite frankly, if we do move on to the next series, we're going to need these guys for the next series, because the next series is not going to be any easier. So, guys, just got to keep your foot on the gas and just keep things going, What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, end of the day, the Knicks just need to keep playing not terrible basketball, because the Cavs are playing some really terrible basketball offensively. You just got to take advantage of that, right? End of the day, I think you put it perfectly, too, with, don't let up at all. Game 5 is just as big as, well, not statistically speaking, I know it's not just as big of a game as Game 3 or Game 4, but treat it like that game. Treat it like those 2 games. Go in there thinking we got to beat these guys, or else, God knows what would happen, right? Now, obviously, I'm not an athlete, and I'm sure the Knicks have a great mentality already. That's a well tight-knit group, but I know that they're not going to go into that game thinking, we can drop one. They're going to think, hey, all the pressure's on them. We're playing with house money, and we're a really good team, and we feel like we're better than them, and I think that's the right mentality to have. End of the day, the Knicks yesterday was not just to win, not just to feel good, not just to get the 2 wins at home, but to take a commanding lead and to really, break the spirits of the Cavs. And you're gonna have a shot to do that at their at Cleveland Wednesday night, which is definitely gonna be an interesting game. But we'll have you guys with a preview for that game Wednesday. So this is not the last episode before that game 5. Hopefully we preview and then we get to talk about a round 2 matchup the following episode. But if you guys want to stay up to date with all your New York Knicks news, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on our post notifications because we're posting videos frequently and you guys don't want to miss one. In terms of our Twitter, our Instagram, and our TikTok, you guys can make sure to check those out as well. We're frequently posting stats and things like that. So if you guys really want to make sure you're keeping up with what's going on with the New York Knicks, or you just want to have some more Knicks stuff on your timeline, those are great accounts to follow. You guys can follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter accounts are above our heads. And of course, you guys know to check us out in the next episode. Again, Wednesday we'll have a Game 5 preview. Arguably has a chance to be one of the best wins the Knicks have had in literally a decade. So we'll see you guys then. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. We appreciate the support lately, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.